Healing Can Be Yours by Dr. Norman Vincent Peale. I want to call your attention to a quotation from the world's greatest book on psychology, or the science of understanding the human mind. This quotation may help us considerably in our effort to master the technique of winning in life. The reference is found in the New Testament in the Gospel of John, chapter 5. I shall quote it exactly as it is written there. Now there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda, having 5 porches. In these lay a great multitude of impotent folk, of blind, halt, withered, waiting for the moving of the water. For an angel went down at a certain season into the pool and troubled the water. Whosoever then first, after the troubling of the water, stepped in, was made whole of whatsoever disease he had. And a certain man was there, which had an infirmity 38 years. When Jesus saw him lie, and knew that he had been a long time in that case, he saith unto him, Wilt thou be made whole? The impotent man answered him, Sir, I have no man, when the water is troubled, to put me into the pool. But while I am coming, another steppeth down before me. Jesus saith unto him, Rise, take up thy bed, and walk. And immediately the man was made whole, and took up his bed, and walked. This is the story of a man for whom something tremendous was done. Let us see what there is of value for us in this incident. First of all, it had to be decided by this man whether he really wanted to be healed. In the light of our modern knowledge of disease, the possibility exists that this man was what we call a neurotic person. The distinguished religious psychologist Leslie D. Weatherhead of London holds to this interpretation. See Dr. Weatherhead's book, It Happened in Palestine. By a neurotic is meant one who is making a faulty adjustment to life. In order to escape unpleasant factors in the business of living or some difficult responsibility, the mind slips into a faulty adjustment. While doing this, the mind often shuts off from the consciousness the fact that an imperfect adjustment is being made. Thus, the neurotic thinks of his reactions as entirely normal and does not know he is making such a faulty adjustment to life. Going still further, the mind can set up definite physical symptoms of illness to relieve the neurotic from the necessity of unpleasantness or responsibilities which he dislikes or of which he is afraid. The mind sets up these symptoms of illness to preserve the self-respect of the person by enabling him to tell himself that he is too ill to face these disturbing factors. It is a trick of the mind to save one's face. Let me illustrate. I heard of a woman who had one son whom she loved very much, perhaps too much, for her mind rebelled against the idea of ever sharing his love with another. It was smother love rather than mother love. It so happened, therefore, that when he developed an interest in any young lady, on the evenings when he had engagements with the girl, the mother would often develop very bad headaches or actually be forced to bed. The son would then have to telephone and cancel the engagement. He had to stay at home and hold his mother's hand instead of the hand he had hoped to hold. When he finally became engaged to be married, the wedding had to be postponed 3 times on account of the recurring illnesses of the mother. which always seemed to clear up when the marriage was delayed. Finally, the son decided to brave all consequences and proceed with the marriage. The mother became, to all appearances, very ill, but when the wedding was over, she quickly recovered. This mother was not consciously pretending illness, and as a matter of fact, her symptoms were probably real enough. But her mind was forcing her into this faulty adjustment due to her abnormal mothering of her son. So possibly in the case of the man at Bethesda, his mind had finally brought him to a condition where he was utterly defeated. He lay helplessly about among the lame, the halt, and the blind. Moreover, he had done it for 38 years. Surely, in all that time, somebody would have helped him into the healing waters. If he had been in earnest, he could have crawled to the brink of the pool, balancing himself there until the moment arrived and have fallen in. Christ came to the pool and, looking upon this man, saw through him in a moment. He observed that here was a case of the will to fail. Accordingly, he looked this man full in the eyes and in a kindly but stern tone said, "Look here, my friend, do you really want to be healed?" Never has there lived anyone with the sure and skillful insight into human nature to equal Jesus. The look in the kindly eyes, the stern demand upon his consciousness, the electric vitality in the very presence of Jesus broke through the prism which the man's mind had built up all those long, helpless years. At last, he was revealed to himself. For the first time in his life, he really wanted with all his heart to be healed. And when, in tones of ringing authority, Jesus said, "All right, if you really want to be healed, you don't need anybody to put you in the water. Stand to your feet like a man and walk." The man stood up radiant in his newfound strength. So we who need strength from God and want it after a fashion must decide whether we really want it badly enough to take it. How glorious to realize that if we really want the great things God can give us and tell him so, meaning it with all our hearts, we shall hear him say, "Arise and walk away from every crippling, unhappy thing which has deprived you of spiritual power." Today, wherever you are reading this book, Christ draws near and puts to you the question, do you really want to be healed of your difficulty? Do you really want to be better?